Alright, in this video I'm going to show you how to add images. Before I do that, I just thought I'd take a step back and show you, because maybe you're closing out of your WordPress blog post in between these videos if you're following along. I'll show you real quick that if you go to posts, on the left hand side you just click on the word posts. It brings you a list of your posts, and then if you hover over the one you want to edit, it gives you an edit option. You click on the edit. That's how you get back into this screen. It's probably pretty straightforward, but I thought I might as well tell you here. If you want to add media, which in this case is an image, then you put your cursor where you want your image to display. So let's say I want to put it to the right of this paragraph. Well, I'd put the cursor just right here at the beginning of the paragraph. Whether I want it to float to the left or right of this paragraph, I still will put it at the very beginning of this paragraph. Add media, and then you can select files, so you can download files. I'm not going to do these because they aren't resized. Here's the one we resized. And one of the things that you'll notice here is that besides the full-size version, which is in here on the right-hand side, then another thing I should note here is if your media thing looks completely different, it's because you're in a version below 3.5. They changed the way the media editor works completely in 3.5, and so you'll want to look up how to add videos in YouTube in WordPress, and you'll find videos for older models. But this is the way it looks in 3.5. You'll notice that by default, WordPress makes a medium version and a thumbnail version of your picture as well. And oftentimes, if you're going to have this float to the right, I want to show you something here actually. We'll go ahead and insert this. We'll insert the medium version. I'll show you why. 23. It's good to put in a title, training dogs, whatever makes sense for the image, dogs, and a caption, which will actually go underneath the, and you can use the same thing in the alt tag. The caption goes underneath the image. I'm having this align right, which means it's going to align to the right of the text, so you can see that. And then you could have it align none, which means it's on its own line. Center I would never use, and then left, align left obviously to the left of the text. So we hit enter, and you see how it flows to the right. Now this isn't going to necessarily be how it is because we're in a pretty small window here, so the text may break at different points, probably will. Now, one thing I want to show you here too, this is a good time to show you, is you see where it says View Post. You just right click on that and choose Open in a new tab, Open Link in a new tab. It'll say something slightly different if you're in Firefox or Internet Explorer. This is Chrome, but it'll say something to that degree, Open in a new tab. And then you click on that tab. Now it shows you the post. Now we haven't updated it since we put the image in, so we'll update it so you can see the image. And there's the image, and see how it has a caption underneath it. Now, what I want to show you about this, and this is where understanding the size of the image helps you even more, is this size website, which is pretty average, is 1,000 pixels wide. Okay, so you can do it by eye, but you can see that this body part, the part that contains the body content, is probably about 800 pixels wide. So if we put in something that's almost 600 pixels wide, it's going to use up most of this space. So that's why we wanted to use the medium size, which if you were paying really close attention, you noticed was 233 pixels wide or something like that. So as a frame of reference, if you know how wide the site is as a whole, which you could ask your web designer if you don't know, or how wide the content area is, then you can have an idea of what size image you want to have to fit into a specific spot. All right. Now you can see here why I do float right is because when the text wraps around it, then it looks more natural, I think. But this post doesn't actually belong. This image is fine for this, but we'll have to see if she wants to keep it in. She didn't say to put an image in there. So that's how you add an image. Let me go back here. I'll show you another thing about this. Because one thing that you might do, first of all, I'll show you can delete it just by clicking on it and then clicking on the no smoking red circle. You can go over to media and add images there. So if you wanted to add a batch of images, that's one way to do it. Also, if you've already added an image like I have there, I say, oh, I don't want it there. You could drag it around, but it can get complicated. Instead, it's easier just to delete it and then say, okay, I really want it to be much further down the page, or maybe at the very top. Let's put it right at the very top. So we put the cursor next to the first paragraph, so it's blinking right there at the first paragraph. We hit add media. Now, instead of, well, by default, it's going to show you, it might show you the media library if you've already posted something. It might show you this, the upload files, or the media library. But this is how you toggle back and forth between the two. So the media library represents all the images you've already added. So then we just select it. It still has the title and caption, but if it didn't, you'd select that. You see medium 223 by 300. We could put in the full-size version or the thumbnail. One note about the thumbnail is that the thumbnail is going to be cropped to a square because it's 150 by 150. So that may or may not be too slick. Line right. Link to media file. I should have talked about this a little bit. So by default, it links to the media file, which just means it opens the full-size image. You can also do the attachment page, which means it links to the page where you're inserting the image, which I don't think you need to do. You can do none, so there's no link. So if they click on it, nothing happens. And you can do a custom URL. So for instance, if you were putting in a logo to a business, then and you wanted to link to that, then you would select URL, and then you'd put in the full URL here. Just choose custom URL. Media file, by default, it'll open the full-size version of the image. Attachment, it opens the page, and none doesn't open anything. And none actually, if it's not something where people need to click on it and see a bigger version, then none is actually what I usually use. If it's an image that people are going to want to click on and see more, then you'd want to use click to media. And if you leave it on click to media, that's not really a problem. It doesn't really cause any problems. Insert into post. Boom. It's back. Update. And I recommend having the tab open, and then you just refresh it, and you can see as you make changes. You just leave the tab open with the page or post up. I should also notice most of these instructions, the only thing that doesn't apply to pages is the categories and tags. Everything else applies to pages as well. So that's how you add images, and we'll cover videos quickly in the next video. We'll cover videos in the next video. Thanks.